Hello, this is BBC Newsline, the top stories from across Northern Ireland. A court is told a public inquiry would shine the spotlight of truth onto the murder of GAA official Sean Brown in 1997. Nurses say patients are dying in corridors as hospitals struggle to cope with the pressures.
They did not come into nursing to look after patients in corridors, patients who are end of life in a tea room, and they are broken, they are demoralised, they are afraid, they are ashamed.
Hundreds of gun owners have had their firearms taken away because of concerns over their suitability. Conor McGregor is banned from sharing any CCTV footage from the night of Nikita Hand's assault. Also coming up on the programme this evening, the new gym dedicated to helping people with disabilities.
After my injury, I had no gym to go to that was fully accessible, so I wanted to create a gym that I could still train my whole body. We all need exercise.
In sport, we hear from Rory McIlroy, who has made his first competitive appearance of the year at the Dubai Desert Classic.
And it was mild again today with some sunshine. Will it stay that way for Friday and the weekend? I'll have your full forecast shortly.
Welcome to Thursday's programme. I'm Declan Harvey. How to deal with the legacy of the Troubles remains a live issue, and it's our top story this evening. It's been reported many times that the Conservative government's Legacy Act, among other things, banned any further Troubles inquests. The law has little support here. Well, today, the First Minister was at court to support one family in their attempt to obtain a public inquiry. It's the family of Sean Brown, the GAA official murdered by loyalist paramilitaries almost 30 years ago. A judge in a lower court has already ruled this case warrants a public inquiry to investigate the links between the killing and state agents. But now the Labour government want the Court of Appeal to block that. Here's our crime and justice correspondent, Julian O'Neill.
Bridie Brown, in the centre of picture, turns 88 this year. This is the 57th time she's attended court in a long battle to uncover the truth behind her husband's murder. And among those with her today were the First Minister, Michelle O'Neill, and the SDLP leader, Claire Hanna. Sean Brown was shot dead in 1997. A loyalist gang snatched him as he locked his GAA club gates in Balahi, put him in the boot of his car and drove him away to be killed. Intelligence material has linked state agents to the attack. Last December, a judge ordered a public inquiry. Today, the government sought to have that ruling overturned at the Court of Appeal. A lawyer representing the Secretary of State, Hilary Benn, said the judge who made the public inquiry ruling had fallen into legal error. He said it involves very difficult constitutional territory, resulting in a decision which is classically for ministers to make, not the courts. The lawyer said ordering an inquiry was premature, as improvements are promised to the new legacy body, which Mr Benn believes can investigate the case more quickly. Mrs Brown's lawyer claimed that the murder had left an indelible stain on the body politic of the state, and that for almost 3 decades the truth of the murder had remained hidden. He went on to say that while the killers had escaped justice, the full circumstances of the murder must now be the subject of a public inquiry. The lawyer concluded the government's refusal to hold a public inquiry amounted to presiding over illegality. The Court of Appeal reserved judgment and will deliver its ruling on a later date.
It's been a long day. I'm tired. Secretary of State, do the proper thing.
We don't really see any reasonable alternative to this, and I don't really understand why the Secretary of State continues to appeal this.
Opponents of the new legacy body staged a protest outside court. This is a case with high stakes because the government wants the legacy body to be the only show in town for those bereaved in the Troubles. Julian O'Neill, BBC Newsline, Belfast.
Hospital patients are dying in corridors and pregnant women are miscarrying in side rooms as a result of the system being overwhelmed. That is according to a UK-wide report by nurses. More than 5,000 nurses, including hundreds from here, took part in an attempt to build a picture of our health service. Our correspondent Marta Connolly reports.
Nurses have painted a distressing and shameful picture of a collapse in standards. Over 5,000 nurses took part in this UK report, including several hundred from Northern Ireland. Among the places where care is being delivered are converted cupboards, tea rooms and car parks. Nurses say corridor care is now the new normal, which is a quick fix option causing moral injury. Another says there is no patient privacy or dignity. Also, no access to washing facilities in emergency departments, while many say they often think about leaving the profession.
They did not come into nursing to look after patients in corridors. They did not come into nursing to look after patients who are end of life in a tea room. They did not come into nursing to do this, and they are broken. They are demoralised, they are afraid, they are ashamed.
The national health crisis has again raised questions about how services are being led and delivered. With 2 Health Trust chief executives recently resigning here and another due to retire, there leaves a significant gap. There may also be movement within the health department itself, but all that creates a potential opportunity to do things differently.
I think it is incumbent on me, being the Minister of Health, to look at the structures and to see how we might, if there is an opportunity to reshape them in any way, which will deliver better outcomes. And that's the bottom line. If the structures are restructuring and all that effort that you might put into restructuring doesn't result in better outcomes, then it's not worth the candle.
The question remains who is in charge and accountable, and if Northern Ireland needs to create that role. Not so, says this former Permanent Health Secretary.
The job of the Permanent Secretary of the Health Department is to be the overall manager for the system. That's where the buck stops, and it's a very, very demanding role. And the people who've done it have tried very hard to make things work, and it's working with a system that is struggling and broken. And some of the root cause issues are both political and social. We call this unacceptable, but the public is accepting too much and needs to be saying to the political representatives, this has to change.
Once again, we are in a perfect winter storm. The question is, will current momentum be enough to trigger change that will make a difference all year round? Mary-Louise Connolly, BBC Newsline.
53,000 people here have a firearms licence allowing them to legally own a gun. Almost all of them are men. That number might have been higher, except over a 2-year period to last May, 900 gun owners had their firearms taken away from them because they were no longer considered suitable to have one. Most of the guns in our communities are either for farming reasons or sport, but some are for personal protection. Our reporter Niall McCracken has this story for BBC Newsline.
Gary McCartney is one of 53,000 people in Northern Ireland with a firearms licence. He is also the director of Countryside Alliance Ireland.
In terms of firearms, they're used for many reasons. Recreationally, it will be clay target shooting. Landowners will use them and farmers will use them for vermin control and crop protection and to protect livestock. We will have people that use them for conservation reasons.
The figures don't include guns carried by serving police officers in Northern Ireland, but show that as of May 2024, 97% of firearm licence owners here were male. People in their 50s were the most common age group to have a firearm, and Lurgan was the area where the highest number of legal gun owners lived. Over a 2-year period, 890 gun owners in Northern Ireland had their firearms taken away.
So a seizure could be for a number of reasons. It could be because somebody's medical conditions have changed. It could be perhaps because they've moved address and the address is no longer suitable. Or it could be because they've come into contact with police and there's maybe a pending investigation. So we take our responsibilities under the Firearms Order Northern Ireland very seriously.
A Belfast-based human rights organisation says the figures raise a number of questions.
I mean, that means the PSNI essentially seizing a gun a day in a very small jurisdiction. That is quite high. it does raise questions as to whether the criteria around gun ownership and licensing does need further tightened.
Seizures, they could happen for any reason, and where anybody within the household comes to the attention of the police, normally the first thing that they will do is remove the firearms. So in many cases, the seizure has nothing to do with the firearms holder directly in the first place. But as we say, public safety is paramount, and gun ownership in Northern Ireland is a responsibility and not a right.
An animal charity has also reacted to the figures.
We do recognise that within exceptional circumstances that some animals do need to be controlled. It should only ever be done as humanely and as respectfully as possible.
The PSNI confirmed that there are currently around 1,000 applications for a firearms licence being considered, and they are working to clear the backlog. Niall McCracken, BBC Newsline.
Now, it's just after 20 to 7, still to come on the programme. The Education Authority says Northern Ireland still needs 2 new Irish language secondary schools to meet the demand. Now, the MMA fighter Conor McGregor has been banned by a court from sharing any CCTV material from the night he assaulted Nikita Hand. He's also been ordered to hand over any copies of the video material to his solicitor and delete any trace of the footage from his own devices. Last November, a jury in a civil case brought by Miss Hand found McGregor liable of assault after she accused him of raping her at a Dublin hotel in 2018. Well, our reporter Aoife Moore was in court for us today. Aoife, tell us more about the CCTV footage.
That's right. So this is around 40 minutes of CCTV footage taken from the Beacon Hotel on the night in question. It was shown in open court. All the media were able to see it, and it shows Nikita Hand and Conor McGregor, as well as 2 others, before and after the assault. Now, today's hearing centred around social media posts from the partner of Conor McGregor, Dee Devlin, and an Italian business associate of Conor McGregor, who said on his social media that this CCTV was to be posted at some point this month and that it would change public opinion about Conor McGregor, and that's why Nikita Hand's solicitors brought this case today to have that stopped.
Yeah, this is all because of a civil case that she has brought. This has been going on for some time. These things are expensive. Did costs come up today?
Costs did come up today. Now, damages have already been awarded in theory to Nikita Hand, but it was noted today that they would like some of the costs up front because Nikita Hand is suffering from PTSD, and her solicitor said today that she could no longer afford counselling. So there was costs awarded today of around €100,000 to Nikita Hand and around €200,000 in legal costs as well.
And there were some final remarks from the judge today. Tell us about that.
The judge had some concerns about social media. He said he felt that if this CCTV was released, that it could be doctored, it would be sent to the dark holes of the internet, not on the instruction of Conor McGregor, but it would be changed, it would be sent everywhere. He said he was not prepared to have the case relitigated in the court of public opinion. As far as he was concerned, Conor McGregor was found liable of the assault of Nikita Hand, and until a different court decides that that changes, this is the way it's going to stay. So Conor McGregor was told, or his solicitors were told today, he must hand over all the CCTV materials and delete everything he has of those CCTV materials from his own personal devices.
There's lots more on this story on our website this evening. For now, Aoife, thank you very much. Aoife Moore, our reporter in Dublin. A man has died after a crash on the Steeple Road in Antrim involving a motorbike and a lorry. It happened shortly after 9:30 this morning. The motorcyclist died at the scene. The road remains closed with diversions in place. 4 police officers on trial for fighting in a kebab shop have told a jury at Belfast Crown Court they were acting in self-defence and the force they used was necessary and proportionate. Dean McCallum, who's 37, Mark Fulham, who's 29, 39-year-old Victoria Bell and 25-year-old Taylor Annett all deny the charge of a fray that they are facing. It happened in Belfast City Centre late on a Saturday night in January 2022. Julie McCulloch has the latest from court.
Today the court heard from all 4 police officers who are facing a charge of a fray. They had been on a night out together while off duty when they became involved in an incident during a late night visit to City Kitchen, a kebab shop in Belfast. It's the prosecution's case that a customer, Graham McCulloch, came into the shop, was concerned about an interaction between the off-duty officers and another man, and then intervened. Dean McCallum was the first officer to give evidence. He told the court that Mr. McCulloch shouted over something like, "Leave him alone." He said he told him to calm down as they were just having a conversation. He said Mr. McCulloch then pushed one of his friends and headbutted him twice. He said that during a struggle, he issued strikes to try to take the fight out of him, saying he feared there would be a risk of further violence. Victoria Bell was also involved in the struggle. When asked about her use of force, she said she believed it was necessary and was used to defend herself and her colleagues from a vicious assault. Mark Fulham, who was at one stage pushed to the ground, can be seen on CCTV footage punching Mr. McCulloch in the lower back several times. He said Mr. McCulloch was extremely strong and that his strikes had little effect. Taylor Annett was the final officer to give evidence. He told the jury he sustained a broken nose in the incident. Confirming he punched Mr. McCulloch in the back several times, he said his actions were in a bid to de-escalate the situation. All four reject the suggestion that the force they used was disproportionate or excessive. Julie McCulloch, BBC Newsline, Belfast Crown Court.
Now, a new gym dedicated to people with a disability will be officially launched in the Northwest tomorrow. It's been developed by a former gymnast who suffered a freak accident during a training session in 2013, as a result of which she became quadriplegic. Her name is Jennifer Smith. She is from Eglinton, and she says over the last 10 years she has been dreaming of bringing this gym into reality. Well, it's finally happening. Here's our Northwest reporter, Kieran Tourish.
There's been a steady flow of talented sportsmen and women arriving at this new gym in Maydown outside Derry. They were keen to try out the facility, as it's been specially designed with them in mind. Jennifer Smith came up with the idea. She was a talented young athlete, but a fall during training in September 2013 changed her life. At 17, the gymnast was left with a broken neck and became quadriplegic after a freak accident.
When I was injured, because I was a gymnast, I was training 20 hours a week in a gym, and then after my injury, I had no gym to go to that was fully accessible. So you can go to a regular gym and train parts of your body that work, but you can't train the parts of the body that doesn't work. So I wanted to create a gym that I could still train my whole body. We all need exercise.
She's been to America, she has trained on a lot of the equipment that she has put in here, and she knows the benefit, not just of the equipment, but the social interaction that she gets from it, and she wants to share that.
One medical professional says it's a significant development.
It really is priceless for this patient population. There really is nothing like this in Northern Ireland. In a normal set of circumstances, a gym will have maybe one piece of equipment that's appropriate for someone who has a neurological condition, but this gym has various pieces of equipment so someone can get a really full workout.
So what are the gym users' first impressions?
I was in a road accident nearly 3 years ago where I suffered a spinal cord injury. Initially I was paralysed from my neck down, but through physio I got the use of my arms back. This gym is going to be life-changing for those that are in similar situations.
This is the culmination of a 10-year dream by Jennifer Smith, and she says she's indebted to everyone who've helped make it happen. Kieran Tourish, BBC Newsline, Derry.
Now, the Education Authority has said Northern Ireland still needs 2 new Irish language secondary schools to meet demand. But now Irish speakers say it is time for those schools to be delivered, as our education correspondent Robbie Meredith reports.
The P6 pupils working hard at Scoil an Droghad Primary and Belfast Ormer Road will want to go on to study in an Irish medium post-primary. But there's currently only one of those in Belfast, College Ferstia.
Our numbers are increasing yearly, and our parents are choosing to continue that Irish medium education. Therefore, there is a dire need for this second secondary school within Belfast.
The Education Authority's just published 2-year plan for the future of schools here is proposing a new Irish medium post-primary in North Belfast, but that need was also highlighted in their previous plan.
This was highlighted 2 years ago in the previous plan, and we are still no further along with it. So, you know, it's time for the relevant authorities to stop denying the fact that this is an ever-growing sector.
It's not just a Belfast problem. There's currently only one Irish post-primary in Dungiven to cater for Irish-speaking pupils right across the west of Northern Ireland, meaning pupils in Strabane face crossing to Donegal to continue their education.
There is no schools near us. The children could cross over the border and go into Letterkenny, go to Collisha in Letterkenny, or they could travel 40 minutes down the road to Dungiven, as some of our pupils do and have done. But it is quite a long distance. If the children had the choice to go to, for example, Omagh to continue on their education, or even Derry City, it would be so vital for them.
So there's a need for more Irish medium schools, but also a need for more special schools to cater for the rising number of pupils with special educational needs. The pressure is now on the Education Authority to deliver both. Robbie Meredith, BBC Newsline. 2 local golfers in action today in Dubai. Let's check in to see how they did. I mean, my understanding is a fairly decent start.
I think you're right, Declan. Yes, we will start with Rory McIlroy, who's made a steady start in his first appearance of this year. The world number 3 is playing in the Dubai Desert Classic and shot an opening round of 70. That's 2 under par, which sees him up alongside Tom McKibben and Padraig Harrington on the leaderboard, 5 shots off the early lead.
I actually felt like I probably played better those first 8 holes and was 1 over compared to the last 10 where I was 3 under. Yeah, it's a bit scrappy. First competitive round of the year, first competitive round in a while. A little uncomfortable over some shots, definitely not as comfortable as I was in practice and sort of coming in here, but it's nice to get a card in your hand. It sort of exposes the things that you need to work on, and you know, I got it around today. I got it around and got it in a couple under, which is nice, and didn't put myself out of the tournament, which was the main thing.
To rugby, and the Ulster side for the final pool game of the European Champions Cup against Exeter Chiefs was named today. Fly half Jack Murphy will make his first European start, while Rob Herring, Michael Lowry and Stuart Moore are all back from injury. And there's a surprise return to the squad for Rob Little, who's agreed a short-term deal as emergency injury cover, and so could make his first appearance since 2023.
It's very obvious that we're missing a lot of depth in that area. Young Rory Telford played well last week, and has played well over the last couple of weeks, but we feel like we need a little bit more experience in there. Rob Little has been at this level loads of times before. He's been out of the fold, Ulster fold, for a couple of years, but he was in training with us a couple of weeks ago, and we just felt that it was probably the right time to bring him back in and get him into the matchday 23. A couple of boys coming back in will help that. Mikey Lowry's experience, been around for a long time now. Stu Moore coming back in at 15 gives us something as well. We're not happy with the results that we've had over the last couple of weeks, but we feel like we're moving in the right direction, so we just got to keep building.
The new manager of the Republic of Ireland women's team has promised an exciting brand of football while she's at the helm. Carla Ward was an assistant to Emma Hayes with the United States team that won Olympic gold at the Paris Games last summer, and she has previous management experience with Aston Villa, Birmingham and Sheffield United.
I think I've proven at all 3 clubs I've been at. I like to be in a team that's exciting to play in, exciting to watch. I think that's shone through in all of the clubs I've been at, and you know, we like to get players to play with a smile on their face. Number one, I think my whole career has been based around people, and it has to be about people rather than players and getting the best out of them. And I think if we can create an environment where people enjoy coming in, and that sounds easier said than done, but I think it's really important, then we can get the best out of them and we can maximise their potential.
Now, Windsor Park was a space for reflection and remembrance today, coinciding with the funeral of former Linfield and Cliftonville player Michael Newbury. Newbury, who was also a Northern Ireland under-19 international, passed away suddenly on the 30th of December on what was his 27th birthday. Linfield invited supporters to pay their own tribute to the player, whose funeral took place today in his hometown, Newcastle upon Tyne. A sad day in local football. And finally tonight, Mark Allen is in action from 7 against Mark Selby in the quarter-final of the Masters. There's live coverage from Alexandra Palace over on BBC Two shortly.
Nicola, thank you very much. Balik Pottery doing what they do since 1857. That's 168 years of sunrises. And this was the latest one this morning.
Wasn't it?
Absolutely lovely. What have you got up your sleeve for the weekend then?
Not too bad. Well, little or no rain in the forecast, you'd be glad to know. And also staying mild. Temperatures today, well, get up to 11 degrees. Might not sound mild, but we normally have temperatures at this time of year in and around 7 Celsius. Now, through this evening and overnight, we have more cloud. So last night, temperatures fell close to freezing in County Down. But most places tonight should stay at around 6 or 7 Celsius, maybe a touch cooler in a few countryside areas where the sky is clear. You can see just a few spots of blue there in the map in the west, so perhaps a few spots of rain for western areas into this evening and for a while tomorrow morning, but it's not going to amount to very much at all. Otherwise, for most of us tomorrow, a bit like today, lots of cloud, there will be some sunshine and the temperatures will stay above average for the time of year. So the best of the sunshine, perhaps most likely for parts of Antrim, down and into Armagh, cloudy elsewhere, and it's still bringing maybe a chance of 1 or 2 spots of light rain here and there, but generally a dry picture if you're travelling, some sunshine, and those temperatures reaching 10 or 11 degrees, maybe the odd 12 in 1 or 2 spots. So not a bad end to the week. Quite a bit of cloud stays with us tomorrow evening too and overnight into Saturday. So again, not too chilly where the skies do clear. Temperatures perhaps dropping to around 3 or 4 degrees, but most should stay at 5 or 6 Celsius with those southerly winds continuing to bring in the milder than normal air. Now, for the weekend, if you have outdoor plans, it's not going to be too bad at all. Not a ton of sunshine on offer. Saturday, bits and pieces of cloud, still some sun coming our way, breaking up the cloud with those southerly winds. It's this area of damp, cloudy weather that's set to come our way by the end of the weekend on Sunday. But before then, on Saturday, quite a bit of cloud to begin with. It breaks through the day. The sun will come out. The temperatures again reaching 11 or 12 degrees. Not a bad start to the weekend. Some clear spells overnight into Sunday may allow temperatures for some to drop into the low single digits. Now, for Sunday, as I mentioned, there will be some patchy rain, but it's not likely until the end of the day. So a lot of usable weather before we see the greyer skies coming our way. Still those temperatures reaching 10 degrees. Once that's out of the way, into next week, it's calm, it's dry, some sunshine, light winds. Temperatures still just above average for the time of year, but perhaps some cooler nights at times when the skies are clear.
OK. Thanks so much for watching this evening. We appreciate it. The next news here on BBC One is at 10:30, but it's always there for you on the website and the BBC News app. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.